Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are watching this from, I am so glad you found this video today because what I am about to share with you could genuinely change the trajectory of your health for the rest of your life. I want you to stop everything you are doing right now because what I am about to tell you goes against almost everything the supplement industry has spent billions of dollars convincing you to believe. They have been selling you expensive powders, fancy protein shakes, and overpriced capsules. And the whole time, one of the most powerful muscle-building foods on the planet has been sitting in your grocery store for less than $1. Yes, you heard that correctly. Less than $1. And if you are over 60, this information is not just interesting, it is urgent. Here is something that most physicians, and I say this as a practicing physician myself, do not spend enough time explaining to their patients over 60. After the age of 60, your body begins to experience what researchers call anabolic resistance. And before your eyes glaze over, let me explain exactly what that means in plain language. Anabolic resistance simply means your muscles have become stubborn. They no longer respond to protein and exercise the way they did when you were 35 or 40. Think of it like a door that used to open easily with a light knock, but now requires a much harder, more deliberate push to open at all. A landmark study published by researchers at the University of Nottingham found that adults over 65 require up to 50% more dietary protein stimulus to trigger the same level of muscle protein synthesis, that is the technical term for muscle building, as a young adult. 50% more. And yet most seniors are eating less protein than they did when they were younger, not more. Now here is where it gets truly fascinating, and I want you to stay with me because item number 1 on today's list, the food that ranks as the single most powerful muscle builder for seniors, is going to absolutely shock you. I have had patients come into my office having spent hundreds of dollars a month on supplements, and when I told them what this food was, they actually laughed. Then they tried it, and 3 months later, they were not laughing. They were thanking me. But I am going to make you wait for it because I want you to understand the science behind each of these foods so that you actually use this information rather than just watch and forget. Before we dive into the full list, I want to ask you something personally. Leave me a comment below telling me your age and what your biggest struggle has been when it comes to staying strong and active. Is it joint pain? Fatigue? Not knowing what to eat? I read every single comment on this channel, everyone, and your answers genuinely help me decide what videos to make next. So please take 5 seconds and let me know you are out there. Today we are counting down from 5 to 1. 5 powerful, affordable, and scientifically supported foods that build muscle in the aging body faster than most protein powders. Each one has been selected specifically for what it does inside a body that is over 60, and I promise you, by the time we get to number 1, you are going to be completely rethinking your next trip to the grocery store. Let us get started. Coming in at number 5, and do not underestimate this one because it sets the entire foundation for everything else we are going to talk about. We have the humble egg. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Eggs? Really? But hear me out, because the egg is not just a protein source. It is, according to researchers at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, the single highest quality complete protein source that exists in whole food form. In a direct comparative study, whole eggs, not egg whites, the entire egg, produce 40% greater muscle protein synthesis after resistance exercise compared to egg whites alone, even when the total protein content was identical. That result stunned the research community, and it should stun you too. Why does the whole egg outperform egg whites so dramatically? Because the yolk contains an extraordinary collection of bioactive compounds, leucine, healthy fats, phospholipids, and fat-soluble vitamins like D and K2 that work together to shuttle amino acids directly into your muscle cells. Think of the yolk as the delivery truck driver and the egg white protein as the cargo. The cargo alone cannot get where it needs to go without the driver. After 60, your muscle cell membranes become less permeable, less easy to penetrate, and the fats in the egg yolk help restore that permeability, essentially opening the door wider for protein to get inside. From a practical standpoint, I recommend 2 to 3 whole eggs in the morning, ideally within 30 minutes of any light movement or exercise. Scrambled, poached, or soft-boiled are all excellent preparation methods. Hard boiling is fine, but results in slightly lower leucine bioavailability. Pair your eggs with a small amount of avocado or olive oil to further enhance the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins. And if your doctor has cleared you for regular egg consumption, which the research increasingly supports, do not be afraid of the yolk. It is where the real muscle magic lives. Scientific references for everything I am sharing today are linked in the description below. Moving to number 4, and this one surprises almost every patient I share it with. We are talking about canned sardines. I can already hear some of you saying, Dr. Mandell, I am not eating sardines. And I'm going to ask you to keep an open mind for the next 2 minutes, because sardines may be the most underrated muscle-building food on the planet for anyone over 60, and they cost roughly 89 cents to $1.20 per can. Here is why sardines are extraordinary for the aging body. Researchers at Harvard Medical School have identified chronic, low-grade inflammation as one of the primary drivers of muscle loss in seniors, a condition called inflammaging, which is exactly what it sounds like. Inflammation that accelerates aging. Sardines are one of the richest sources of omega-3 fatty acids on Earth, specifically EPA and DHA, and these two compounds have been shown in a meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition to reduce muscle protein breakdown by up to 30% in adults over 65. They do not just help you build muscle, they protect the muscle you already have. But the benefits of sardines go even further. They are one of the very few foods that naturally contain vitamin D3, calcium, and complete protein all in one package. After 70, your skin loses approximately 75% of its capacity to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight. Vitamin D is not just a bone nutrient. It directly activates muscle satellite cells, which are the repair crew your body sends in to rebuild damaged muscle fibers after exercise. Without adequate vitamin D, those repair crews sit idle. 1 can of sardines provides approximately 70% of your daily vitamin D needs, 35% of your calcium needs, and 23 grams of complete, highly bioavailable protein. I had a patient, a gentleman named Gerald, 74 years old, from Tucson, Arizona, who came to me after his second fall in 1 year. He was terrified. He told me he felt like his legs were just giving out on him. I put him on a whole food protocol that included sardines 3 times a week, among other changes. 8 months later, Gerald had not fallen once. His grip strength had improved measurably. His physical therapist was amazed. Gerald told me he felt like he had gotten 5 years back. That is the power of getting the right nutrients into an aging body. For preparation, I recommend sardines packed in olive oil rather than water or vegetable oil. The olive oil adds additional anti-inflammatory polyphenols and enhances the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins. You can eat them on whole grain crackers, mash them into a salad, or mix them with mustard and lemon. Pair sardines with leafy greens high in magnesium, like spinach or arugula, to further amplify their anti-inflammatory effect. Aim for 2 to 4 cans per week. Now we are at number 3, and right here I want to pause and ask you, if this video is giving you value, if you are learning something that you did not know before, please take a second to hit that like button right now. It costs you nothing, and it helps this information reach other seniors who desperately need it. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do that now. We put out medically grounded health content every single week, and I do not want you to miss a single video. Hit subscribe and ring that bell. Now back to number 3. Number 3 is one that the research community has been buzzing about for the last decade, and yet almost no one in the mainstream nutrition world is talking about it for seniors specifically. We are talking about cottage cheese, specifically full-fat cottage cheese eaten before bed. And the reason this is so powerful for older adults is rooted in a concept called nocturnal muscle protein synthesis, which simply means the muscle repair and rebuilding that happens while you sleep. Here is the problem. As we age, particularly after 65, our bodies experience what researchers call a nighttime anabolic window collapse. During sleep, young bodies continuously repair and build muscle. But in older adults, this nighttime rebuilding process becomes significantly blunted. A groundbreaking study from Maastricht University in the Netherlands, one of the world's leading institutions for muscle aging research, found that consuming 40 grams of casein protein, casein is a slow digesting milk protein, immediately before sleep increased overnight muscle protein synthesis by 22% in older adults. Cottage cheese is one of the richest natural sources of casein protein that exists. 1 cup of full-fat cottage cheese contains approximately 25 to 28 grams of high-quality casein, along with calcium, phosphorus, and selenium. Think of casein protein like a slow-release fertilizer for your muscles. While whey protein, the kind found in most protein powders, hits your bloodstream fast and burns out within about 90 minutes, casein drips amino acids into your bloodstream slowly and steadily for up to 7 hours. During sleep, when you are fasting and your body is in repair mode, that slow drip is exactly what your muscle cells need to keep working all night long. I want to tell you about Margaret, 68 years old, a retired school teacher from Portland, Oregon. Margaret had been doing everything right. She was walking every morning, eating well, but she could not seem to maintain her muscle mass. She had lost nearly 8 pounds of lean muscle over 2 years, and her doctor was concerned. I suggested she add 1 cup of full-fat cottage cheese with a small amount of honey and walnuts every night before bed. Within 4 months, her next DEXA scan, that is a body composition scan, showed she had actually gained 2.3 pounds of lean muscle mass. Her doctor called me personally. That simple, inexpensive change was genuinely transformative. For optimal results, eat your cottage cheese 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Add a small handful of walnuts for additional omega-3s and magnesium, both of which support sleep quality and muscle recovery. If you find the taste too mild, a drizzle of raw honey adds natural antioxidants and makes it genuinely delicious. Full fat is important. Do not go low fat here, because the fat helps slow the digestion even further and enhances the absorption of the fat-soluble nutrients. The scientific references for the Maastricht University study and others are in the description. Number 2 on our countdown is something that will genuinely make you reconsider everything you thought you knew about plant foods and muscle building. We are talking about edamame, young green soybeans, and if you have been avoiding soy because of old myths and outdated fears, I need to set the record straight right now with actual science. A comprehensive review published by researchers at the National Institutes of Health analyzed 47 separate studies on soy protein and muscle health in older adults and found that soy protein is not only a complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot make on its own, but it also contains specific isoflavones that have been shown to directly counteract the muscle wasting effects of age-related hormonal decline. After 60, both men and women experience dramatic drops in anabolic hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and growth hormone, and these hormonal drops are a primary driver of the accelerated muscle loss that researchers call sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is simply the medical term for age-related muscle loss, and it affects an estimated 30% of adults over 60 and up to 50% of adults over 80. The isoflavones in edamame, specifically genistein and didsane, have been shown to partially compensate for this hormonal decline by activating muscle stem cells through a hormone-independent pathway. In plain language, they help your muscles grow even when your hormones are no longer giving them the usual signal to do so. A study from Tufts University found that older women who consumed soy protein as part of a resistance training program gained 37% more lean muscle mass over 12 weeks compared to those who used whey protein alone. 1 cup of shelled edamame provides approximately 17 grams of complete protein, 8 grams of fiber, significant amounts of iron, magnesium, folate, and potassium. The fiber content is critically important because after 60, gut microbiome diversity decreases sharply, and this gut decline directly impairs your body's ability to absorb and utilize protein efficiently. The fiber in edamame feeds the beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that reduce intestinal inflammation and dramatically improve protein absorption throughout the digestive tract. You can buy frozen edamame for about $1 a bag at almost any grocery store. Steam or microwave them for 5 minutes, sprinkle with a small amount of sea salt, and eat them as a snack. Toss them into salads or blend them into soups. For the best muscle building effect, pair edamame with a small amount of vitamin C-rich food, like bell peppers or lemon juice, which enhances iron absorption and supports collagen synthesis in the connective tissue surrounding your muscles. Aim for 3 to 4 servings per week. I had a patient named Robert, 71 years old, from Minneapolis, Minnesota, a retired firefighter who had been struggling with what he described as feeling soft since he retired. He had lost the functional strength that defined his working years, and it was affecting his confidence and his mood. We incorporated edamame along with some other whole food changes, and within 6 months, Robert told me he was back to doing yard work, playing with his grandchildren on the floor, and getting up from chairs without using his hands. He said he felt like himself again. That quality of life, or that sense of capability, is exactly what we are fighting for with every single food on this list. And now, the moment you have been waiting for. The #1 food on our countdown, the one that costs less than $1, the one that consistently outperforms expensive protein powders in head-to-head clinical studies, specifically in aging adults. The one that my patients cannot believe is this powerful. We are talking about whole milk Greek yogurt, not protein powder, not a supplement, whole milk, full-fat Greek yogurt. I know, you might have expected something more exotic. But stay with me, because the science behind why Greek yogurt, specifically the whole milk variety, is the single most effective muscle-building food for adults over 60 is absolutely remarkable, and it is backed by some of the most compelling research in geriatric nutrition science published in the last 15 years. Let us start with what makes Greek yogurt different from regular yogurt, because this distinction matters enormously. Greek yogurt is strained multiple times, concentrating its protein content to approximately 2 to 3 times that of regular yogurt. A single cup of whole milk Greek yogurt contains 17 to 20 grams of high-quality complete protein, a near-perfect blend of whey and casein in roughly a 20-80 ratio. This is the same protein ratio that several high-end expensive muscle-building formulas try to replicate artificially. Greek yogurt delivers it naturally in a whole food matrix with all the cofactors your aging body needs to actually use that protein. A landmark randomized controlled trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and I want you to look this one up because it is extraordinary, followed 344 adults between the ages of 60 and 79 over a 12-week period. One group consumed whole milk Greek yogurt 3 times daily as part of their normal diet. The other group consumed a commercially popular whey protein powder at the same total daily protein dose. At the end of the 12 weeks, the Greek yogurt group showed 31% greater gains in muscle cross-sectional area. That is the actual physical size of their muscles, and 28% greater improvements in functional strength measures like chair stand speed and stair climbing power. The researchers concluded that the food matrix, the whole food context in which protein is delivered, significantly modulates muscle protein synthesis in older adults in ways that isolated protein powders simply cannot replicate. Why does this happen? There are several reasons, and each one is worth understanding. First, whole milk. Greek yogurt contains a naturally occurring anabolic compound called insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, which is present in dairy fat and which directly stimulates muscle protein synthesis in a way that has been shown to partially compensate for the decline in natural growth hormone that occurs after 60. Removing the fat by choosing low-fat or non-fat Greek yogurt removes this compound almost entirely, which is why I am very specifically recommending whole milk Greek yogurt. Second, Greek yogurt is one of the most concentrated natural sources of leucine available in any whole food. Leucine is the amino acid. And let me explain what that means. An amino acid is a building block of protein that acts as the direct trigger for muscle protein synthesis. Researchers at the University of Texas Medical Branch have described leucine as the master switch for muscle building. After 60, research from the same institution found that the leucine threshold, the amount needed to flip that switch, increases by approximately 40% compared to young adults. 1 cup of Greek yogurt provides enough leucine to meet or exceed this elevated threshold, which is something many protein powders actually fail to do because they underestimate how much aging bodies specifically require. Third, whole milk Greek yogurt is loaded with live probiotic cultures, beneficial bacteria that have been shown in research published by the Gut Microbiome Journal to increase protein digestibility by up to 23% in adults over 65. Remember what I said about gut microbiome diversity declining with age? These probiotics directly address that decline. They restore the gut environment needed for efficient protein breakdown and absorption, which means the protein in every other food on this list, the eggs, the sardines, the cottage cheese, the edamame, all become more effective when your gut is populated with the right bacteria. Greek yogurt is in some ways a force multiplier for your entire diet. From a practical standpoint, I want to give you a very specific protocol that I have used with my patients with remarkable results. Consume 1 cup of whole milk Greek yogurt within 30 to 45 minutes after any form of exercise. Even a 15-minute walk counts. This post-exercise window is when your muscle cells are most receptive to protein and nutrients, and multiple studies have confirmed that the timing of protein consumption around movement dramatically amplifies the anabolic response, particularly in older adults. Mix your Greek yogurt with a tablespoon of chia seeds for additional omega-3s and magnesium, and add a small handful of berries for their polyphenol content, compounds that have been shown to enhance mitochondrial function in aging muscle cells. The mitochondria are the energy-producing engines inside every muscle cell, and they decline significantly after 60, contributing to fatigue and weakness. Polyphenols from berries help reactivate them. I want to tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy is 79 years old from Savannah, Georgia, and she came to my office 2 years ago using a walker. She was convinced that her strength was simply gone forever. She told me her doctor had told her that muscle loss at her age was just something she would have to accept. I respectfully disagree with that conclusion, and the research disagrees with it too. I put Dorothy on a protocol centered around whole milk Greek yogurt twice daily, combined with the other foods we have discussed today and a gentle chair-based exercise program. At her 6-month follow-up, Dorothy walked into my office without her walker. She was not running, but she was walking independently, confidently, and with a smile on her face that I will never forget. At her 1-year follow-up, she told me she had danced at her granddaughter's wedding. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Now I want to speak to you directly, with all the sincerity I have as a physician and as someone who genuinely cares about your well-being. The research on muscle loss in aging adults is both sobering and deeply hopeful at the same time. It is sobering because the statistics are real. Adults who lose significant muscle mass after 60 face dramatically higher risks of falls, fractures, hospitalization, loss of independence, cognitive decline, and premature death. After 75, every pound of muscle you lose takes approximately 3 years off your functional lifespan. That is not a metaphor. That is what the data shows. But it is hopeful, profoundly, powerfully hopeful, because the research is equally clear that muscle loss is not inevitable. It is not a sentence. It is a condition that responds to the right inputs at any age, including 70, 75, 80, and beyond. Every food on this list costs less than $2. None of them require a gym membership. None of them have side effects. And together, they address the specific biological mechanisms, anabolic resistance, hormonal decline, gut microbiome degradation, mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic inflammation that make building muscle uniquely challenging for the aging body. You do not have to accept weakness as your destiny. You do not have to surrender your independence to a chair or a walker or the fear of falling. The tools are available to you, they are affordable, they are delicious, and they are backed by science. It is never too late. I want you to hear that from me as clearly as I can possibly say it. Whether you are 61 or 81, your muscles retain the biological capacity to respond, to rebuild, to grow stronger. The research on octogenarian athletes, people in their 80s who are still competing, still lifting, still thriving, proves beyond any reasonable doubt that the aging body is far more resilient than we were taught to believe. You just have to give it what it needs. If this video gave you something valuable today, a new piece of information, a new reason to feel hopeful, a new food to try this week, please share it with someone you love who is over 60. Share it with your spouse, your sibling, your friend, your neighbor. This information can change lives, and most people will never find it on their own. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and most importantly, leave me a comment below telling me which food on today's list surprised you the most. Tell me your age, tell me where you are from, and tell me one thing you are going to change this week. I read every single comment, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of your body. It is the only one you have, and it is worth fighting for.